Good evening from Cape Town, South Africa. It is now 7:30 p.m. South African Standard Time, and good afternoon, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. Tonight we are discussing Meet the Team with Morgan Eisen, our new operations coordinator. Seems like I'm a little bit laggy. We're not sure why, but anyway, thank you for tuning in tonight. We hope you enjoy this segment. If you have any questions for Morgan or myself, please drop it into the comments and we will chat with you. Let's jump in. I'm bringing Morgan in and let's give a big thumbs up because we can't do a physical applause, but magical applause.
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon, Morgan. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing today?
I am good. Yeah, excited that we can finally do this segment.
Me too. It's been a while coming.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a bit about the storm that happened last week?
So I'm in New York for anybody who doesn't know. So New York's been getting a whole bunch of really bad storms lately, and we had a bunch of hurricanes that were coming up the East Coast, and unfortunately, we got some really strong winds and a lot of flooding, and it was pretty insane. We lost power for a while. It came back on. It went back off. It was pretty crazy. But we've been getting storm after storm after storm, and it's been a lot. We actually are raining right now.
Fun times. And
Yeah,
well, it's supposed to be summer there, which I'm confused because it's
it
winter with
is.
us. So I'm very
Yes,
confused.
it is the end of summer for us. We're on opposites here, but we get a lot of rain. This year's been a very not typical year for us with weather. In general, things have been not very typical with weather lately, but we've been getting a lot of rain. We started right around like the 4th of July, and we've been getting pretty much storm after storm.
I don't think anything is normal about 2020. I think we can just all agree that
Yeah.
it's out of place and everything is not good.
Yeah, I mean, we have hurricane season, but it doesn't usually hit up in New York. It's more down south that gets pretty bad hurricanes.
Luckily, I mean, we don't get that big of a storm here. We did have a recent one, but it wasn't that bad, luckily, which I'm glad for. I think I'm quite scared when I come to New York and it might storm like that. I will probably be freaking out. Wait, I'm coming in summer.
You're coming, yeah, you're coming like on the earlier side. We might have rain. We might have rain, but we should not be that bad with temperatures and stuff. We'll make it work. We'll have some rainy day fun if it rains. If not, then we'll have some nice weather fun.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Exactly.
But you're back. You are still alive. You've survived the storm. You've got power. You've got internet. Your
Power,
audio
internet,
is working.
everything. Yes. I don't know how many of you guys have heard other times I have had some audio issues, and we seem to have resolved them. So
I hope so. I'm actually not listening to the broadcast, so if there is any problems,
we apologize.
Any sound issues, please actually we apologize, and please also just let us know in the comments or something, just so that we are aware of that. So let's get to know you a bit more, Morgan.
Sure.
Tell us a bit about yourself. Well, I won't say your name, but I already said your name. Your age, where are you from, where are you currently staying, something interesting about yourself. What is your biggest dream? Like, give us the Morgan. Give us something about Morgan.
Well, I am Morgan. I am from Brooklyn, New York. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I moved away for a little while. I came back. I am definitely a city girl. So I had to return to Brooklyn. It's also a wonderful place being so close to Manhattan for theater. I am 31. I just had a birthday, so some of you guys will see that on my bio it said 30. It said 30 and then it got changed to 31.
I think we did fix that. I hope
Yes.
so.
So some of them might say 30, some might say 31. I did have a birthday a couple weeks ago. Um, I I mean, I love theater. I was a musician before I got into theater, so I also have a special place in my heart for music. I am an animal lover. I do a lot of work with animals, and I don't know. There's a part of me, you're asking about like my hopes and dreams and stuff. I would love to work with animals and stuff as like a side thing. Or I've always had this like weird dream of like when I retire, I'd get a place with like a lot of land, not in the city because that doesn't exist. A place with like some land and just like there's so many animals out there that like are homeless or like, need a little bit of like love and like training so that they can be, a great pet for somebody. So to be able to kind of have a little bit of a rescue and give them some room to like run around and do some like training and stuff. So that's my like distant dream. But I mean, for now, I'm really loving, theater and focusing on my stage management stuff, and I will just enjoy my love of animals for the time being until I get to the age of retirement because I'm not there yet.
Am I correct if I'm saying that you have a business card from ages ago, babysitting and dog walking? If am I not
Yes.
correct if I'm saying that?
Yes, I did recently share that with you. I do have it. I don't have it on me at the moment to hold it up, but I do. When I was younger, I actually thought I was like the coolest kid around, and I made these like little like cardstock business cards on like colored cardstock, and they were for like first it started out. It was very young with like babysitting and like mother's helpering. And then I, started like taking care of animals and doing dog walking. And then, I started babysitting and then nannying. And I had these cards that I printed up so that most of, my clients would come from word of mouth. So I would like give it to people. I'd put like magnets on the back so that like the families that I babysat for could have like my stuff on their refrigerators so that when their friends came over, they'd always be asking, oh my God, like your babysitter is so amazing. Where did you get her from? Where's her information? It's right here. So I was pretty young, and I designed
Pretty
myself a
young, but
little card, little teddy bears and like
adventurous.
dogs on it.
I actually wish we had it now. Damn it.
If you told me
Oh,
before, I would have grabbed it. It would have, yeah, that would have been pretty
I can't
funny.
find it, and when I can do a screen share, I'll sort out while we're busy. Um, so I mean, babysitting, you've already done a lot of
I,
stuff before you even hit theater.
yep.
So after the babysitting and the dog walking and all that stuff, what is your educational background?
So
University subjects. What was your favorite subject?
so I had focused on mainly the arts during junior high school and high school programs. I went to schools that were very centered on the arts. I wanted to be in arts education. I was wanting to be a music teacher for a while, and I actually started teaching music while I was still in school um, as like a teacher's assistant. So I would go back to my junior high school. I would teach, the younger and the beginner students. When I was in high school, I actually met some of my friends that way because I was their teacher while I was still in school. And then I had gone to college for music education, but was not in love with the program there and decided, I'd loved, theater, musical theater. So I started taking classes and decided instead of switching colleges that I was actually going to um, switch majors. And I fell in love with the theater department. I, found some really great mentors in the theater department there. So I did end up getting a bachelor's in theater with a focus in stage management. But I opted for a bachelor's of arts so that I can have a pretty well rounded education and also so that I know other aspects of theater. I know a lot of people opt for a Bachelor of Fine Arts, but that usually tends to focus very strictly in. And my school actually didn't have a Bachelor of Fine Arts for stage management just yet, but we did ask for it while I was there. So hopefully the future students of my alma mater will be able to have that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we on our side we don't have. You can't really specialize in stage management except for program that I did. So I mean, it's a bit different with you guys, but you actually have a dedicated stage management program. I actually found your business card.
Oh no.
So before we continue, I am actually going to share this now. Um, just
A little bit of
because
embarrassment, but it's cute.
if I can find it, uh,
I'd
there we
have to like go
go.
off screen and start digging around.
I am just trying to open it, but there's so much stuff happening. There we go.
Holding for
So
technical difficulties. And there it
that
is.
it was actually your first business card. I mean,
That was like my third draft of it too. And it says like references available, experienced childcare for
very
infants,
fancy.
toddlers, and young children.
You were quite, I mean, what's the word? On it from the start already. How old were
Yeah.
you when you made these cards?
Well, I had done an earlier draft of it that was for Mother's Helpering. At that point, oh boy, I was probably closer to like 12. At this point, I was probably closer to like 14.
When I was
I have been
14.
taking care of children for most of my life. I probably started when I was like 10, 11 with that kind of stuff. Um, for those of you that don't know what Mother's Helpering is, it's sort of, I actually was working for a family that had an infant. She was pregnant and then she had a baby. So trying to not only do things like juggling the two children, but things like, you know, when you're a new mom and you need to shower, having somebody that can be there to kind of, even though you're home, like babysitting, normally you leave and you leave your children with that person. But this, they're actually still there. So you can do things like laundry and shower and cooking, and somebody else is helping take care of your child. So I was young, I was very young when I first started with that, but the moms were still there. And then as I started getting older, it was like, all right, bye, now go on a date. I got your
I
children.
think when I was 14, I was still shooting BB guns into trees. I was definitely not.
I was a very
Maybe
mature little one.
yeah, children. But anyway,
That's a whole other subject.
um, so I mean, you basically got involved in theatre through education. I'm
Yes.
correct in saying that.
Yes.
And what was your first job in the industry?
Well, I actually was doing stage management before I knew it was stage management. I was in junior high school, and we had the New York State School of Music Association does a competition every year, and they needed people to help work the competition and then help run the competition. So I would work that every year. So that was one of my first jobs, like positions, doing stage management. And that was mainly for music. And it was basically facilitating an entire competition for one of their locations because they jumped location to location. Um, so I would cover one of the locations and I would help, you know, run things. And I walking around with a walkie-talkie, which I thought at the time was like the coolest thing around. Now, you know, running around with a headset, I'm just not even phased by it anymore. Um, but I definitely, it was definitely a lot of fun. And, you know, I look back now with all of my years of experience in theater and running things, and I'm like, wow, I was a teeny tiny little stage manager back then, and I didn't even know it. I thought I was just like helping out. And in reality, I kind of found my calling before I even knew that I did.
You're not actually the first person that I've said that, especially from the New Yorkers side, that they didn't know they were stage managing until someone like kind of told them, listen, this is what you're doing is actually stage management.
Yeah, we really don't have a lot of education about what stage managers have done until fairly recently. There's not a lot of awareness, and that was actually one of the things that I, as a, you know, going back and teaching, because I was teaching music and then I switched over to teaching theater, and I kind of continued to do both. But once I started doing theater, I wanted to make sure that, you know, future generations know what stage managers are, because I sure didn't. I mean, all I knew was I went to my first Broadway show. Um, And I looked at the stage and I was like, that's what I want to do. And I didn't know what that was at the time. I just knew that I love that experience. I love that feel. And like I needed to be a part of it. And at the time I was focusing on music. So I was like, oh, that's pit band. Like that's what I want to do. And kind of as I got older and, now with all these years past and kind of seeing how my life is transformed, I look back and I'm like, oh, that makes some sense. Like, we really didn't know anything about stage managers back then. I didn't know stage manager was even a thing until college. And I, talked about my experience with someone who became my mentor. And he was like, so you've been stage managing? I was like, what? Like, he's like, yeah, you can get paid to do that. I was like, oh, I thought it was just like helping out, like making things happen. I was like, cool. I had no idea that stage managing was actually a thing. And a lot of people here in the United States and, even being in New York, where theater is such a huge thing, there really isn't any knowledge about the behind the scenes work. We know that like somebody does costumes, somebody does sound, somebody like does these things. You see the actors, you see the lights change, but stage managers are taught to be invisible. And a lot of times that invisibility also means that there's not awareness. So it's been a very important thing for me to teach kids, like, this is actually a thing. This is a position. There's somebody backstage who's, saying that the lights need to change for the lights to change and for the actors to go on. And, we're sitting there in rehearsal and we're teaching them, their lines and their blocking and all these things and trying to have that awareness be out there. And now there is an amazing thing for this year. That is the year of a stage manager, which is helping with awareness. So hopefully future generations will be able to understand what stage management is and be able to actually have it as a choice that they want to become a stage manager. And to see people like us talking about it is definitely going to help.
I must say I'm experiencing a bit of deja vu there, especially that, not even 12 hours ago, we recorded the podcast for Coffee After COVID.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, that is how Morgan and I also know each other. We're on a podcast together called Coffee After COVID, basically 4 stage manager friends grabbing virtually coffee. And we kind of discussed the same topics. So I feel like I'm having deja vu because you kind of said the same words now.
Same concept.
But, I mean, that is also why Downstage embarked on this Meet the Team series, is to bring light to the people that's backstage. Because, I mean, technicians and production staff, they are backstage. They are taught to be the shadows. And this is why once everything went crazy and the world ended, we embarked on this Meet the Team segment to bring awareness to the different departments. But it seems like somehow we have fallen mostly into communication with stage management. I'm not sure that is because from myself but somehow it's been mostly stage managers, which is good because it's also getting out the awareness there and hearing all the different opinions of what a stage manager is and how you got into it from the different locations, which is extremely interesting. But with that said, I mean, what different jobs have you done in the industry?
Oh boy. Well, I started out with music stuff, which I definitely consider music as part of the theater industry because you have so much overlap with things like opera and musical theater. Also just scores for, straight plays, having that. So I definitely consider music. And for that, I not only was a pit conductor and a conductor of, orchestras and bands, but I also was a member. I did all sorts of bands and orchestras. I had amazing opportunities through music, including getting to work with Mark Wood of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which was definitely an honor at the time. And I kind of went from that music world to into the theater of doing the pit bands and the scoring. And then I went into sound design for a little while because I had such great music knowledge behind. And people were like, I need you. I was like, it's not what I do, but sure, let's do it. I got pulled onto like lights for a little while. I've done a whole lot of like set stuff. Props is a whole lot of fun. I've gotten really into like SFX type things. But I mean, I kind of have really just more recently focused on stage management and then sometimes wearing other hats. I had a production with actually a performance ensemble / theater company that I'm a founding member of, that we, Pangea Performance Ensemble, I will plug that, where we did a show, and it was sort of like I was wearing like 15 different hats because we needed somebody to work on like costumes as well as sounds and lights, and we needed people, and it was like, all right, I'm wearing all these hats, let's do this. And I think that that's pretty common for stage managers because we sort of dabble in all sorts of things. So like, I'm not normally a lighting designer, but if you need some help with lights, I have some knowledge because I've worked with them so much. But it's not my forte, so go out there and get a lighting designer that knows what they're doing, but I'm happy to help. Um, so I've done a lot of that kind of stuff. I've done a bunch of like front of house. So I've gone like from managing behind the stage to managing, more of the audience's view. I've helped run festivals. I mean, what I have done, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a whole bunch of stuff.
I think we tend to do that. Sometimes I forget how many productions I've done, and then actually to go count it and go like, okay, cool, or just like look at my production folders and stuff. Before we continue, I do just want to give a shout out. The one linking into the episode that we recorded about mentors. Thank you, Nita van Wyk, who's tuning in, who was my original mentor becoming a stage manager. So thank you, Nita, for tuning in. I just saw it pop up now, and the discussion we had last night, it's all interlinking. But I think it's in general that stage managers wear different hats and they're all over.
We do. It's a lot of a job of like, what do you need done and getting the job done. So if you need help with this, we're a set of hands, we're very capable hands. You jump on and do what needs to get done for the greater purpose of the show.
No, definitely. So I'm looking at what I kind of need to ask you, and I kind of lost my space.
That's all right.
There's a question in there which I wanted to ask, but I feel like it's kind of pointless during COVID-19, which is where you're currently employed at a theater company, or do you freelance? So I feel like
I am a freelance. Yes, I've been a freelance. I've been a freelance for quite some time. I feel like I got out of college and just started freelancing and, jumped head on to that kind of life. I've definitely looked into, getting a residency with a theater company or with an organization, but freelance has sort of been my life. But now with COVID-19, who knows what anything is going to bring. I'm always open to any opportunity that comes my way, and I think that helps make me a little more adaptable.
Adaptable or adaptable?
Adaptable. I mean, if somebody wants to adopt me, that's another thing, but that's adaptable.
Adaptable. Gotcha.
Yes. But for right now, I will continue, calling things in my apartment and doing things like this from my living room until it is safe to be out and about in the world.
And coffee after COVID and attending a lot of webinars.
Oh boy, Zoom fatigue is real.
She really does. Whenever I speak to it, I've got this now. I'm going to this now. I need to do this.
The other day I had from like 10 o'clock in the morning to, I think we went to like a little after midnight, and it was just like, I need a pee break. Like that was like my big thing, that it was just like, I need to like not look at my screen for a little while. I need to get up. I need to walk around, and I really need a drink, and I need to go pee. Like that was my break. But I feel like as stage managers, we're kind of used to that because, we do like tech, and it's like, you just need to find that like a little bit of time to like make sure that you're eating, that you're drinking, like go to the bathroom. If you don't need to, like empty your bladder, do what you have to do.
Yeah, something which I don't do often. Usually when I go and take,
I'm guilty of the same.
But okay, so as a stage manager, why don't you explain to us your process in planning for a show? Basically, what is your pre-production like? what do you like to do individually for pre-production?
Well, before we get started on anything, my first thing is always introducing myself to everybody that has signed on to the project, whether it's the directors, the producers, as we slowly get our designers, making sure that I establish that one-on-one rapport with people. My stage management style is very much like I'm kind of like the mother of the production, and I want people to be able to be like comfortable coming to me. Coming to me if there's an issue, coming to me if there's a problem, if you need to work something out, if you need someone to like as like a sounding board to bounce things off of. So that's very much my style. And the first part of that is sort of establishing a connection with everybody who's involved. I also want to, introduce myself and say, hey, if you need anything, I'm here. So if you have any questions, even silly or stupid questions, just reach out. Here's my number. Here's my email. This is where to find me. So trying to set that up, if I can grab coffee with any of them so that it makes it a more personal interaction. We both know how important grabbing coffee is in the industry, or tea, if that's what you prefer.
Coffee after COVID.
Coffee after COVID. That's how it got started, saying we should grab some coffee after this is all done, because that's how our industry works.
That was actually exactly how it started. While we were attending the Broadway Stage Management Symposium, which luckily, due to COVID, this year was done digitally, and I was able to attend it. And in the comments, I wrote, well, after COVID, we need to grab a coffee. And it literally just, then it became a podcast.
Yep, someone's like, oh, that'd be a great podcast name. We're like,
that was you, actually. No, that was Amber that said it. And then you like, oh, yes, that really does sound cool. And then Jackie jumped on. She's like, this sounds cool. And then Robert jumped in.
Robert's like, I like coffee. Anything with coffee that has to do with me, I'm down.
So, like I said before, for those of you who don't know, Morgan and I are co-hosts on Coffee After COVID with Jackie and Robert. It's also findable on Facebook. Yes, I'm cross-promoting. Yes. I'm allowed to do that because I'm cross-promoting.
So grabbing coffee is definitely a big thing. Emails, phone calls, establishing, and just sort of getting myself out there and getting people comfortable with me, because to me, that's definitely a very important part, being comfortable with your stage manager and comfortable discussing things and talking and communication and all those wonderful words that we rely on. So I'm also a big prepper. My book.
That's kind of where I want to lean now. And this is a question which I find very fascinating, especially in this generation, I want to say almost, as stuff is moving more digital.
Yes.
Are you old school with hard copies?
I am old school.
Digital?
I am old school. I am very old school. I think that's a mixture of just, it's the way I was taught, and I like the feel of a book, and technology can fail you completely. So something like your contact list, I'll have it on my phone. I'll be able to, click everyone saved in my contacts that I'm working on a show with at the time. But sometimes technology fails you and you just need to open a book, put your finger down and go, oh, there's the number. Or I am very much, I like to also have that pencil on like my script and like write my cues in. I am an old school person. I have not adapted to a e-script or an electronic script yet, but I'm sure I'll get there and bridge sort of that gap between the two. But I am definitely an old school, have my book with me type person.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't get rid of, I need hard copies. I need to be able to tear out a page if I have to.
Yep.
Linking into that, but have you, as a stage manager, found any exciting programs or new programs or digital platforms that makes your job easier in any way?
There definitely are programs out there, like we had mentioned with the Broadway Stage Management Symposium. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they actually have now been doing Tech Fridays, where they're putting out their, technology for us to use that might be helpful for us. A lot of them aren't necessarily geared at stage managers, but for the production end of things, which has been really helpful so that I know how to use them. But a lot of the productions that I've worked on really haven't been using many of them. But I will have to say, I mean, even something as simple as like Google Calendar was like a really big thing for me. And being able to like do my reports in like, instead of doing it in like Microsoft Word, doing it in like, Google Docs, so that like my assistant stage manager can like edit something, or I can send it and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And we can collaborate on, stuff like that. Or sending like electronic scripts that, oh, there's a typo, oh, I'll fix it for you. So there have been some great electronic advancements since when I first started, because none of this existed when I first started. But I haven't caught up to doing a lot of these programs because a lot of my productions just don't use them. So I haven't had the experience of using some of the really wonderful programs that are out there that hopefully one day I will be able to take advantage of and to use for productions, because they look amazing.
Actually, I'm dropping the link to the Broadway Stage Management Symposium Tech Fridays in the comments now. It is free and open to everyone. For us South Africans, that it starts at 9 o'clock p.m. on a Friday. I think 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, 4 p.m. Eastern.
South African Standard Time. So I did actually just drop the link in the comments if you want to join that and sign up. Tonight we're actually doing Zoom, which I haven't signed up yet. I need to sign up.
Yes, soon.
Matt, if you're watching this, just add me in. I'll sign up now. Why do I keep on getting lost in this document?
I don't know. That's okay. So, I think you and I are good enough talking to each other. We can, we can fill in those blanks.
Definitely. But I mean, you've been in the industry quite a while. Why don't you tell us a bit more about some shows? Which was your favorite? What was your most difficult one to do or to work on? Give us the deeds. Let's get into
it. I mean, again, like I said, I tend to see myself as like my shows being like my children, and I really try not to play favorites. But I've definitely had some shows that have just been a blast to work on, whether it was because the actual production was amazing, or it was a really intense piece that I couldn't wait to see what the audience like thought and felt. Like that's always one of my favorite parts of a show. We work on this show, we work on it so hard, and then like you open it up to an audience and like you can't wait to see how they react to it, which I mean, it was amazing. One of my more recent productions from, around the new year was actually with Voyage Theatre Company. We did a project called The Hope Hypothesis. And it was a very small show. It really wasn't that big of a production. But I think one of the parts that was so important to me was that when we opened it up to audience members, because it was a show that actually spoke a lot about the times that we're living in right now and have to do with biases that people have, and like microaggressions becoming macroaggressions, and like, taking these things out on people. And like police brutality was a really big issue in it. And, we had an innocent character that had police brutality, and she was an ACLU lawyer. Like she was there representing a client and then somehow became a suspect because of the color of her skin, and just the impression that makes on the audience, and like certain things, like the way we staged them. And we had a few like special effects things. We had, aspects of our set that were, surprises to the audience. And it really was amazing, not only seeing, because we did a whole bunch of talkbacks with, audience after the show, and getting their impression not only of the show, but of the issues that we discussed in it really was absolutely amazing. It was before all of this, stuff was going on here in America that really has brought it to people's attention. And I feel like now is the time that we look back and I'm like, that show is extremely important to be doing at that time. And maybe it wasn't like the biggest show, it wasn't the, any of that but it really, it made a statement. And a lot of times that's what theater is there for. Then I worked other shows that were just like a whole lot of fun of, huge, casts. And it's just, a big family that we go out there, and especially like the musicals that I've done, everyone's just singing and dancing and having a wonderful time. And, there were times, there's actually a show that surprisingly has become one of my favorites that I have done that I was very skeptical about in the beginning because, like you said, I've been doing this for quite a while, and I was young. I was baby, and I have a baby face, and it was a production of I think it was like 60 cast members, all of them baby boomers. So all of them, some of them were like double my age, some of them were triple my age, and I'm like, they're really gonna listen to this? Like, really? But they actually, I mean, I was like, they're all like, they're gonna be like my parents' age, and they're gonna look at me and just be like, whatever. And like, but they actually were like some of the most professional people that I've worked with, because there was a level of respect there that they were like, I don't, it doesn't matter how young you are. You walk into a room, you run the room, you're nice, you bring a smile to every conversation, you're polite, you're not going to snap at me. You're going to respect me. I'm going to respect you. And I think those are the kind of things you don't always see in productions, but because of things like that, those become my favorite, because I love working with groups like that. And I love working with people who, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter your experiences. And, it's the first time on a musical or on a play or this or that. You walk in, you give it all of your energy, and you put your best self forward, and you enter the room as an artist, and they respect you as an artist, even though sometimes stage managers aren't seen as being artists, but we really are, and we're there to collaborate. And I like shows like that you can collaborate on, and that you can be respected, and you can just have a really wonderful time. In that show, we actually had some audience participation. So we would I'd sit there with the person who would go out in the audience, and he'd sit on, audience members' laps and stuff. And we would sit there looking pre-show, trying to pick a seat in the house. Or if there was anyone that we knew that we wanted to kind of play a joke or something on, where you could be okay, this person's sitting here today. So something like that. I mean, it's a lot of fun backstage. And when you do have a great relationship with the people you work with, you do get to do things like that. So it was a lot of fun. And I mean, I had fun with it. That's the most important part. I think they did too. And I'm so close with some of, the people who are there. And actually the actor that I was just talking about that would sit on people's laps, and, as part of his show, he would sit in a chair, and there just happened to be a person sitting in the chair. He actually just made his Broadway debut about a year ago in a show. And I'm so proud of him. I'm one of those, I'm a proud little mama. I'm oh, I went to go see him at Stage Door, and I'm just so beaming with pride because of that. And I think that says a lot about, your experiences, because you can keep that connection going forward.
And I think that's the most important thing of stage management, is connecting and, just
definitely
being in the bubble. Now, that's the stage management side. But recently, you have expanded your horizons and crossed the border into South African territory.
I have.
And joined Downstage Productions as the operations coordinator.
Yes,
Yay,
I am so excited.
So now let's get into that a bit. I mean, we're based in South Africa. You're that side, because you're on this side of the screen.
Whatever direction it is at the moment.
You're across the globe from us.
Yes.
What is your thoughts? Time differences. How are you adjusting? What is the operations coordinator for Downstage Productions?
So it's a whole lot. I'm going to try and tackle as much as I can, and remember to hit the points of. I mean, I think it's absolutely hysterical that, we try and calculate these time differences, and we have some language and cultural differences that we've had to kind of go across and leap and a word that like one of us will say and it'll be a totally different meaning to the other one. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of laughs trying to bridge that gap. I also think it's a little bit of karma too, because you were living on New York time for so long, and now I get to live on South African time for a little bit. And we're in totally different seasons, like we talked about earlier in this. So like I'm talking about how hot it is here and you're freezing. And it's like I want to send you some warm air and you can send me some cool air. I mean, I have my air conditioning on right now blowing on me. And I'm just like trying to cool down. My hair's only up because I was sweating. So I mean it's been a lot of laughs trying to bridge that gap from, New York, and also trying to calculate the time differences like we were doing before. It's like, okay, it's this time here. Also, being on different time zones, we have to coordinate our schedules for things like meetings. So trying to figure out the time for a meeting, it's like, okay, so your morning is like my night. So like I can talk to you before I go to bed. And then I was like, but when I wake up and doing things, like trying to coordinate timing for us to have a meeting has been very interesting. But I think we've been able to make it work fairly well.
And obviously
I love that I'm kind of a, South African now. I get to be part of your community, which is wonderful.
But I mean, and obviously myself, David, and Kyla keeps on going into Afrikaans in the group chat, which is wonderful because I mean, we're used to not having a fourth person there.
Yep. It's definitely been interesting. And I mean, I know that the stereotypical Americans like, oh, speak English, but I'm not like that. I mean, I don't speak Afrikaans. I don't.
Actually, you do.
But no, I don't. I don't speak Afrikaans. You're trying to teach me, but I am so bad with languages. But there have been times that you've said something and I've like, I don't know if I misheard you, but I understood what you said. So we've had some comical moments like that, but I'm very much like I am the, stray New Yorker here. If it is best communication for you guys to speak in Afrikaans, go ahead, because facilitating communication is number one. And I'll catch up eventually. Also, Google Translate has been wonderful. Yep, I'll get there eventually. I'm horrible with languages. I've tried to learn a few languages so far, and I process them for a little bit, but I'm not a language person, so it's very hard for me. I get the concepts, but like the memory is not there. I have a horrible memory at times, and language is not my forte. I took years of Spanish, and I still don't speak Spanish. And how I got like a 98 on my like Regent exam, I still will never understand because I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, you've also had a few encounters, or coffee after COVID, you guys have had a few encounters where I'm speaking Afrikaans and I'll just switch over to Afrikaans, and you all go like, "What is happening?" But
yes.
What is the operations coordinator for Downstage Productions? What are you doing for us?
So I'm doing a lot of helping out with stuff and trying to fill in some gaps that I know were definitely needed. Another set of hands to help run this now that things are getting a little bit bigger. And also, I think it also helps a little bit with being from America and having the connections in New York. It helps you guys grow a little bit. But it's a lot of like helping generate content. We've also been doing a whole bunch of like social media consulting aspects. Jumping on board for, so far I actually started with Downstage because being a panelist for a couple things that we did for the In Discussion series. And it sort of was like, wow, this is really working. And I was very honored and humbled when you were like, would you like to join us? And I'm like, sure, let's do this. Let's have a fun adventure. So, it's been a lot of, just assisting you guys with what needs to be. Stage managing for you guys. That's what I'm doing here. We use these skills doing a whole lot of things. Yeah.
Scheduling and topics.
A lot of scheduling and topics and, finding new people. I have an artist that I had worked with that we're trying to see if we can establish that connection with for future Downstage stuff. Trying to bring in some people, opening
you
that door to
can talk,
American talent.
you can talk about that person if you want. Because
I'd never know what I can and can't before it
I was
happens.
about to bring it up. So as Morgan mentioned, Downstage is getting busier. We're getting a little bit bigger. In this process, we have kind of broadened our horizon internationally, and we will be featuring one of our first ever international artists very soon on a segment, um, which
Yes,
I'm very excited about.
yes.
This
He
person
is
is
a
absolutely
lifelong friend
amazing.
of mine.
Yes, but he's absolutely amazing. He's a spoken word artist, and his poetry is breathtaking. But Morgan, why don't you
It
tell us a bit more about him? Flash, because
So,
there's two sides.
yes, he does actually, or at least now, they. Um, so I have a friend that, we worked together in college. We've, worked together as stage manager, actor before. He's actually part of the Pangea Performance Ensemble that I had mentioned earlier and worked on shows and stuff together. And we sort of grew from there. And I mean, I am absolutely amazed and impressed by so much of the stuff that he has done and the artist that he truly has grown into. And he started out as, doing acting and then sort of found a voice in himself that, it's great to be able to say other people's words, but it's also another thing when you're writing your own content and you're talking about issues that are close to your own heart. Um, so he got really into spoken word, and then I was always really impressed by his writing and then his ability to convey his writing to an audience and to express the really raw stuff and the meaning behind a lot of the things that he's trying to talk about. And then recently he started getting into drag and finding another personality inside of himself. So I use they because it's sort of two different personalities that he's able to bring, to an audience and being able to do those things. And we're currently in discussion about, what pieces we think will be wonderful for either side and the differences between them. And, a lot of his pieces are very much, I think it would be a great connection because a lot of his pieces are very raw. They're very real. They talk about
Emotional
life.
and
And
blunt
yes,
in a
very
way.
blunt, very, yeah, in your face. And that seems to work really well for, Downstage and seems to be a lot of what you guys have put out in the past. And, goes along those lines. And if I'm correct, I do not believe that Downstage has ever gotten into spoken word per se.
Uh,
Um,
we have
so
not.
I
We've
think it would also, yeah, so it'll be branching that out a little bit as well. So not only giving, another actor and an American actor a voice in these times, but somebody that really represents that raw, in your face type art that really speaks volumes. And I'm very
yeah.
honored to, be able to bring him into this and start those discussions. And
So we actually had a meeting with him last week. I've lost track of time.
time
But
warp.
I mean, that is the whole thing. Also, with you being on board with us now, it is officially opening the border.
Yep.
Because Downstage was so focused on South Africa, which is great because obviously we are based here, but
Yeah.
expanding the horizon and opening the borders and going a bit more, you know, I mean, we've already started with like the discussions and the everything else we're doing. With that said, I mean, also, as you all saw, we recently announced the very exciting news that we will be doing a official My Name is Jane in digital, which will be streamed. And I'd actually quickly like to show the trailer, if you all don't mind. So hang on and quickly give a digital trailer, which is coming to you soon once we give you more information.
Yay. Beautiful.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Yes.
So Jane was obviously the first baby of Downstage Productions. Before we went into the kind of shutdown, not the world shutdown, the Downstage Production shutdown. And I'm very excited that we can finally bring this out and show it. So we're busy with that. It will be streamable. There will be a small, tiny price for a ticket just to cover some of the overhead costs regarding the recording of this and stuff, but it will be like tiny, like baby tiny. But yeah, so we're very excited for that. So I mean, with that, with Morgan, you coming on board, opening the borders, there's a lot happening. So I mean, yeah, what for you is the most exciting thing about being a part of a team and being part of Downstage?
I mean, every time I join a new team, it's always extremely exciting for me because it not only opens new doors and new experiences, but I'm somebody that actually believes you can learn a lot from the people that you're around. And I think not only, learning stuff from all of you guys and, the type of work that you do, but I think also we can learn a lot from each other about how things are done here versus there and kind of bridge some of those gaps and, maybe fix some of the problems that like we run into a little bit. And I think that that's going to be amazing. I also, I love working with new people and new artists and being able to share some of the stuff here and, be able to be a part of stuff like that and join in the process of doing all of these wonderful and exciting things. Also to, lend you a hand with extra things. You have another personality.
I'm ecstatic to have you on board. Not only because you are amazing, but also because you've. It's been like 2 weeks that you've been with us officially, and you've already like came up with so many ideas. You're just like so proactive and like. Which is amazing.
Lots of ideas for topics of things. We've been kind of spitballing some stuff for like our in discussion series, and I'm like, do we have anything that like we're missing for meet the team? Do we have any stuff that we're missing? Like, let's do this. Let's find people. I'll help. There are positions here in America that are different than they are in South Africa. So being able to, we had one of the discussions we had was the difference in like dramaturgy, like how that is different here versus there and how, crucial that really is. So being able to do stuff like that and find more people and help, resource things in addition to hopefully have some fun in the process, especially some great discussions that hopefully we'll have coming up.
So, I think next week, if I'm correct, it will be a digital segment, which might be the international one. Let's hope. I'm very excited. I am excited, as you all can see. But honestly, it's great to have you on the team, and it's good to have someone that, like, in the morning, my morning hours, your morning hours, when we're not sleeping, go like, by the way, so I've been thinking, can this work? And you go like, no, or yes, no, we need to do this, which is good to have someone there. David and Kyla are both busy with their lives and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good to have someone next to me to go like, hey, what, can this work? No, okay, cool, never mind, I'm moving.
Or like, no, it can't, and then come back an hour later. Wait, I might have an idea. So we might be able to make this work.
I'm grateful that you joined us.
Well, I'm honored to be here and very appreciative of being able to join the team.
And I lost my train of thought.
That's all right. We'll figure it out.
Jump a bit back to you as Morgan. Do you think you would ever change careers or leave the industry?
That's a really hard question, especially in such times like this. Um, I think there will always be a part of me that my heart will be in theater, my heart will be in music, my heart will be in stage management. But like I mentioned before, it was like I love working with animals, and I eventually I'm going to retire. Eventually, I'm going to do that stuff. Um, so I mean, I've had the thoughts of like, going into training animals and stuff, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll wait a little bit. It also might be I mean, we've spoken a little bit on our podcast about like side hustles, side jobs and stuff, because stage management is, we have all sorts of hours and we're on call 24/7 for things. But, when you're not rehearsing, when you're not doing stuff like that, you have some time. And I had previously been filling it with teaching and childcare and animal care, and I love doing stuff like that. Um, so if I couldn't do theater anymore, or music anymore, I think I have a place I would enjoy going. I've always enjoyed teaching. I've always enjoyed working with children and animals and stuff. I actually taught seniors for a little while, which was so much fun. It blows my mind that these people have had so much life experience, and yet they're turning to me to be able to learn stuff. What? But I mean, they were so grateful, and a lot of them didn't know much about theater, so it was like, all right, let's start from the beginning. Let's learn about theater. Let's talk about things. Um, and I'm very much, when I teach, very similar to how I am here, of like, it's about a discussion, it's about learning the way that works for you. So I've always enjoyed things like that. I think I probably could do things like that, but I have to have the art, like it's in my soul, so I have to be part of theater and music in one way, shape, or form. I did take some time off because I do have health issues. I did take some time off of stage management and working in theater, and my soul just ached. Like, it really just ached. It wanted to come back. And I missed it. And I was so sad not being part of productions and then going to see things. I was like, I want, like, so it just, I think that I will have to always be doing arts in some way, shape, or form. But I have other things that I do love. Um, that I would love to do. I also, have things that I enjoy as hobbies, but I don't know that they're careers for me. I think, you know, I'm hoping that the world comes back together. And right now, unfortunately, there isn't a lot of work out there. So many people are changing careers, they are changing fields, and I'm trying to hold down steady. But I think that even if I did have to, in times like this, and financially have to take another job, I think I still would have to have my foot in theater in one way, shape, or form.
With that, I mean, I just want to, obviously the industry is shut down worldwide.
Yes.
And there's been some campaigns that's been popping up
Yes.
lately. So I'm actually just dropping it down below now. Hashtag like SA led, which is the South African campaign, bringing awareness to the industry being shut down, and basically going to the government and saying, this is what we want, please help us, we need this. Hashtag led alert, which is for you guys, the
Yes.
American campaign, which is similar
Yep.
to like SA led, as well as hashtag we make events. There's a lot of it happening.
Yes.
So to everyone tuning in and watching, I do want to ask, just check out the hashtags, follow it. If you can support it in a way to create awareness, change your profile picture, upload your header. It's about creating awareness and showing support for both. I mean, for everyone who's
Yes,
struggling.
the whole world is doing it. America's campaign actually is a branch off of England's with the We Make events. And it's really absolutely heartwarming to see how many countries are coming together to be like one message that's being put out there, and to be able to represent, all of the people that, kind of part of that whole part was that we are intended to be invisible. We are intended to make the magic happen behind the scenes without making a big fuss. But there are so many people that go into the arts industry and not just theater, but all of the arts. And right now, our industry shut down all over the world. And, we still exist. We're still here. We're still having to pay our bills and we're still fighting, but we're all out of work because of this. And it's a time to be seen and time to be heard and to know that we're out there and that we're struggling.
And I mean, that is what these are actually for. One I didn't add there is the flight case movement.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. But that is basically what these campaigns are about, is bringing awareness and going, actually, wait, we are going to be seen for this time. So for everyone tuning in, for our viewers, please check the hashtags out. Facebook has a lot of frames on your profile pictures that you can change to show support. So look into it, support where you can. It's really important for everyone in the industry, and Downstage is also still in support with it. As you can see, our logo. I'm confused. Wherever the logo is,
I would say for me, it's here.
There you go. As you can see, our logo is also now in. Usually, it's for black and for white, or the white and black. But we've gone with this one, and we will be staying with this one until we go back, or until the industry goes back. But also thank you to these campaigns for bringing awareness to it and stuff.
And thank you for everybody who has lit up their buildings. We have had, so many people participate all over the world, lighting up their houses, their buildings, their work facilities. I know for ours this, week, we had a lot of people who, a lot of our techies came out with their cases, and we had all of Times Square filled with the IATSE members just standing there showing and representing, here we are, look at us. And, a big thank you to everybody who's been a part of that and who has helped with this movement. And, seeing these places lit up in red, I mean, it's breathtaking, but it also puts, such a impact on your soul and shows you, these places are really being affected.
But it's also showing actually how big the industry is by seeing all of this. And I mean, this is a worldwide thing that's happening. It's not just like one place. So it's quite amazing to see all the other countries supporting the other countries. And then,
we stand with each other.
Before we kind of finish this, there's one last thing I want to ask you, which is personal. And you know what I'm going to talk about. I want you to talk about that. What is the craziest thing you've ever done for a show as a stage manager? And you know where I'm going, so give me it.
Okay. I have done a lot of crazy things. I mean, I have worked on some amazing and exciting and crazy productions. We've had a lot of special effects. We've had a lot of awesome props, a lot of shows that were just like out there, but were amazing. And I mean, it really is spectacular getting to do these things and to be able to joke around about them afterwards. And the one that I know you want me to share was actually part of a festival, a theater festival that I was part of a whole bunch of years ago. Everything, all of the pieces in it had to do with sex in one way, shape, or form. We started out with a really serious piece as our first one that talks about the AIDS epidemic in New York. And we ended with a hysterical piece. I mean, I know that we don't really want to curse on here, but I can't say the name of it without cursing.
I give you permission in this instance to go for it, because I need to have this on record.
Okay, so the name of the show is called Fucking Vigwan or Swag. And it is one of the most like crazy in the way of like mind-blowing aspects. And part of that show has to do with this person's
Wait for it.
this person's sex life and all the different things, and some things kind of catch up to him. And let's just put it that there is a zombie cock that is part of the show. That's Dion's favorite part. There is a zombie cock that is part of the show. And we had an amazing prop person who got us this 4-foot-long phallus with like 1-foot balls attached to it. I mean, like veins and hairy and like the details on it were amazing. And we had basically, as part of the show, there's the zombie and his cock gets cut off. And then it starts flopping around the stage and people are passing it around. Like Vigwan, the main character's cat, gets involved in the whole thing. It's a crazy show, but I know that the imagery that Dion really likes is the story that I've told in the past, is that pre-show, I mean, I'm somebody that I like to have fun. I like to have little jokes and stuff. So pre-show, when I was doing my pre-show checks and checking in with the cast and checking in with house management, there really wasn't a place to be putting this 5-foot-long cock backstage. So I'd wear it around my neck like a scarf, like pre-show. And I mean, I would go out and check with house management. It would be around my neck. And I would check with the cast, and people would just look. But you know what? It made them laugh. And sometimes you have those nerves before the show. I put it in the booth a couple times. It was sitting behind the light board for one show because I was doing too many things. I was going up on ladders. I wasn't bringing the zombie cock up on my neck with fixing lights. So I put it in the booth, and it was sitting, in my chair waiting to call the show. I did not put my headset on it, but I did put it in my chair to be there. But I would run around with it around my neck. It was nice and sizable. Pre-show, and just kind of walk around. It was a lot of fun, but it definitely was one of the weirder experiences that I have had, for sure. But I think, I mean, even that, the group of people that I was with, they were just yeah, go ahead, do it. I'm all right. It started out as a joke, but it became an every night thing.
This is yeah, I had to bring it in. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I had to. It's part of yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It really was. And I started as a joke during tech, because for all of us who are in theater, we know tech can be quite a stressful time, and people's fuses can get really short. And let's just say that this is something that was able to make people laugh. So it made people laugh. And it continued to make people laugh through it.
I mean, we're coming to a closing here now. So
yeah.
Do you have any closing words before we come to an end?
Mainly just, I am so excited for this new adventure. I am so excited to be a part of this, to bring, wonderful art and to interact with people and be able to have voices heard all over the world. I am so excited to jump on and be part of Downstage, and I can't wait to be able to interact more with people who are listening. I'm somebody who loves hearing feedback from people, having people reach out to me and be like, hey, I just saw you on this, and start a conversation. I know that I have been linked to some of the Downstage posts. More than welcome to send me a message on social media, reach out, talk to me. Yes, my information is below. You can find my Instagram handle there. And just kind of have a good time and start a conversation. So I really look forward to that, and I can't wait to hear from people and to be able to work on these future projects together.
Well, I'm just as excited to have you. I mean, yeah. So as we said below, there's Morgan's professional Instagram, Stage Manager. And then also, obviously, remember Downstage is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Downstage ZA, and you can email us at info@dspza.co.za. And then final words just before we do come to an end. As we are in a COVID-19 pandemic and the industry has shut down, most of you would have seen our post we made recently. We have officially started a fundraising campaign mostly for overhead costs. And with overhead costs, what we mean is basically paying our website hosting and that sort of stuff, which we've been paying now out of our own pocket always. But unfortunately, due to everything that's happening, we cannot do that anymore. So we have started a fundraising site. The link is below. If you can, if you're willing to, if you want to, any donation is welcome. We really would appreciate it just to kind of keep Downstage going and prevent us from going dark again, which we do not want. We've grown a lot, we've built a lot during this lockdown, and we've brightened, all that. So if you can help out, and with that, we're gonna sign off with the last video. And from my side, have a lovely evening. Thank you for tuning
afternoon
in.
Here.
Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening.
Whatever time it is.
Thank you for joining myself and Morgan on this discussion. Thank you, Morgan, for being here. It was lovely to have this discussion.
Happy to. Thank you for having me.
And with that, enjoy the last video we're about to show. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone.